I started, in actuality, as a kid. I would draw and paint, and my father tried to give me an art course where you send in your work and then they judge it and grade it and send it back. That didn't work. When my kids were little, I have 3 kids, a boy and 2 girls, who are now adults. And I homeschooled them and whatnot, and I decided this is ridiculous. I need something for me to do. So I bought some cheap art paints and some canvases and whatnot and some brushes, and started watching Bob Ross, and decided that oil painting wasn't exactly what I needed to be doing with kids' fingers around. So I would take what he taught to do and change it into acrylics, and it worked okay, so it was okay. About 5 to 6 years ago, I ended up retiring. I was a nurse. In retirement, you need something to do, and I picked up my paintbrushes again in earnest instead of just from time to time. I haven't stopped since. Really, nature inspires me. For my landscapes, if I'm driving around somewhere, the clouds, I love clouds. I have to be very careful if I'm driving to not look at the clouds. It could be dangerous. But if I'm the passenger, it's quiet in the car and I'm just inspired by everything around me, the clouds, the trees, fall, sometimes just old buildings, barns, old barns. I love old barns, and fields, the way it's just kind of hills and they'll overlap, and that just is like, yeah, very peaceful and calm. And with my abstract, it's just sort of more like how I'm feeling at the moment. If I am in a mood where things are blocky, then it's geometric. And if I'm in more of a softer mood, I've begun doing florals. I have a series of floral abstracts that I'm working on. That is fun. That is just very fun. I can finger paint with them. Don't use a brush, just use my fingers and paint. That's cool. It takes me back to being a kid. I am a Christian, and I believe that God will help me in knowing what I paint to give Him glory. So there are many times if I'm stuck, I'll just say, God, what do you want me to do with this? And I'll breathe and relax, and then next thing I know, the painting actually is good. A lot of what I do with color is what mood I'm in. Blue is my favorite color, and a lot of times you'll see blue of some sort. Cobalt blue and cerulean blue are my favorite blues. I've been drawing in some phthalo blue from time to time, and ultramarine, but I stick mostly with the cobalt blue and cerulean. Every once in a while, I love how purple and green will mix together. I think most of what I do color-wise is if it looks good. If it looks good to me, then most of other people say, wow, this is good. This, it mixes, it matches. I stick predominantly with acrylic because that's what I'm most comfortable with, but I got into acrylics because of my kids when they were little. Oils and fingers don't match, don't mix. I will do oils from time to time, but acrylics mostly are what I use most of the time. I think sort of an evolution in my landscape. I've added texture because I'm a very tactile person. I know you're not supposed to touch paintings, but there have been times I've gotten myself into trouble going into museums, and I get as close as I possibly can to a painting and study it horribly. I started having to put my hands behind my back because it's like, don't touch, Brenda, don't touch. My husband and I were in some museum in Washington, D.C., and I was studying, I can't remember the painting. Oh, it was a beautiful painting, huge. The guard comes up and says, ma'am, please step back. When I first started painting here, it was just a little corner back in the back towards the outside door downstairs, and then I moved into another room and the lighting was not that good, but where I am now, the lighting is good. I have enough space, but anywhere I can get a canvas and some paints, I think it's my favorite. I've been to craft shows, art fairs and whatnot, and I had a little canvas on my lap and painted while people are coming and going. There's a pro and a con to living in the North Country. Where we currently are, having references to paint is really nice because we have the Adirondacks, we have the St. Lawrence River, we have a lot of lakes, and obviously fall colors if you want to do that. But the downside for living in the North Country is that there are no ready galleries around that are big enough to accept multiple artists. If it is a gallery, it might be a gallery owned by the particular artist, so they don't want to necessarily bring in other people's work. So my choices of expanding are a little bit limited for just the North Country. But as far as subjects to paint, it's really a good area. Art is, I guess, when I actually think about it, it's an expression of me. It's what allows me to show my inner self. I have a website, and it is www.brendamaxsonart.com, and I'm on Instagram as Brenda Maxson Art, and you can find me on Facebook, B. Maxson Studios.